Today's video is a little bit different. I want to talk about something that I really love, and that is one of the best romance stories and an absolute classic, and that is Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice.
Pride and Prejudice.
In particular, I want to talk about why I love the story so much and why I think it has lasted for so many years. To this day, people are still watching and reading Pride and Prejudice. It really is a story for all ages, and I think that we all, no matter where you come from, who you are, how old you are, whatever it is, that we all can learn something from Pride and Prejudice. And you know, Jane Austen's got many other books that she's written. Pride and Prejudice is my favorite. So why do I love Pride and Prejudice? I think the biggest reason for me is we see this enemies to lovers story. And yes, that's one of the best romance stories, to be honest, because of that contrast. And also because of that transformation from almost detesting each other to falling in love, or maybe just realizing that actually maybe I was always in love with this person. And that just, I don't know, it just makes my heart all gooey. But what I love about the characters, in particular Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth Bennet, is the accountability that they both take of their characters and how they've had that get in the way of their love and their relationship. Just speaking from a woman's perspective, when I look at Elizabeth Bennet's character, I personally don't think that when she first encounters Mr. Darcy, I don't think she's drawn head over heels for him. It's not love at first sight for her. I think for her, it's more of this mysterious man, this intriguing guy who isn't like other guys and men that she normally encounters. And that I think you can almost look at in parallel with today. And this is why I think this is such a classic, is because Mr. Darcy's character, it can survive today. It can exist today. We have this shy, reserved, proud man who deep down is a very generous, loving, and extremely loyal person. But you don't see that when you first meet him. And I think definitely when Elizabeth, or Lizzie, when she first encounters him, she's drawn to his mysteriousness, but she's almost pretty quickly put off by the way he is being, from the lack of words, from his demeanor, and just how he acts to her and to her family, and to perhaps people that he sees, or she perceives that he sees as beneath him. And yeah, that probably is the case to some extent. We all have that prejudice. We all have that judgment that we pass on people that we do not know. It's in all of us. Don't pretend like it ain't. And this is why I love this so much, because at the end we see, and spoiler alert, by the way, if you haven't ever read the book or seen any of the film adaptations or series, we do see that transformation in both their characters, where they're willing to admit that actually, yeah, I wasn't my best here. I judged this person. Going back to Lizzie Bennet, I think just from a woman's perspective, she isn't initially drawn to him. I think she's just intrigued by his mysteriousness, this dark, tall, handsome man. But I do think that in the case of Mr. Darcy, when he, and again, I'm willing to hear your opinion of this, but I do think when he first encounters Lizzie, yes, there's that initial judgment, initial prejudice passed on her and her family. When she first starts having a conversation with him, and actually her personality starts shining through in, the first few moments of meeting her, you suddenly see like this interest in him. It's like, okay, she's not like the rest. She doesn't appear to be like her sisters or these other women that I've met. There's an intelligence to her. There's this braveness to her. She has this courage where she's not scared to stand up to me or to other people, or to speak her mind. And especially back in the day, women probably didn't speak their mind. Now, I want to compare Mr. Darcy to men today. Not in a men are trash way. No, by any means. And definitely not in a bring back the 17 or 1800s kind of way, but in a way that, why does a fictional character, a man from the 1800s, still outperform half the dating pool? Now, this is going to be friendly, maybe a little bit controversial, but here goes. As we mentioned just a couple minutes ago, Darcy doesn't particularly have that charisma when you first meet him. There's no flirting, there's no faking it, there's no fake smiles and niceties. He's just who he is. He's not pretending. And I kind of respect that. And yeah, it does come off as a little bit awkward, in brackets, hashtag just being British. I can say that, I'm British. He'd be the guy at a party today who would be like at the back on his phone. Probably, I heard this on a reaction video, probably be at the back on if phones existed back in the day. He'd just be on like the weather app, just scrolling. Oh, okay, what's the weather tomorrow? Oh, what's the time? When can I leave? It comes across as arrogant. It comes across as weird, is probably what we'd call it now. The creep at the back, the creeper, I don't know. And I do think that over time, and particularly today, men and people in general have a tendency to overshare, to overperform just for the sake of being liked and just for the sake of fitting in. Whereas Mr. Darcy, he's the opposite. He's quiet, he's measured, he's reserved. But here's the slightly controversial part. I think today in 2025, that reserved character can be seen almost as a red flag. And I think we are so quick to judge, and here's a prejudice bit, okay? We're so quick to judge that, yeah, we quickly deem things to be red flags, even though we don't know the full truth. We don't know the full character of this person. And it's not necessarily that we want to be this way. I just think that it's something that's very societal and very, just built into culture, especially with social media and so much around what to look out for in men and in women and the red flags to look out for. And look, I do think that has a place. 100% it has a place. If I go by gut instinct and I do think someone's a little bit of a creeper, maybe not so right in the head, there are red flags that you absolutely should be listening to and following. But I do think that we are very quick to judge, even if the other person is harmless. And actually, if you got to know them, they're probably the most incredible people. Darcy reminds us that not every man who is quiet is hiding something. Sometimes he just thinks before he speaks. And isn't that something to admire? Controversial point number 2. Darcy does what modern men avoid. He corrects himself. Darcy isn't perfect. He's far from it. He's full of himself. We know that. But he gets humbled. Elizabeth very quickly humbles him. And I think that's one of the reasons he falls in love with this woman. Because she's just brought out the best in him. But anyway, Lizzie calls him out on his pride, his prejudice, and his social blindness. What does he do? He actually changes. Throughout the book, you see his transformation. You see how he starts to warm up. Definitely in the films and in the TV adaptations, you see a smile appear, even minuscule, on his face when he encounters Lizzie, when he actually is speaking with her and being with her, especially when he's around his sister, who he loves so much. There's no ego shielding. There's no gaslighting. It's just who I am. He listens, he reflects, and he improves. And I think just from, again, being a woman, that's one of the most attractive things is when a man or a woman can take accountability for the way that they've been being. Like I said, we all have prejudice. Don't pretend like you don't. We all have some element of pride. To some extent, we all do.
Your pride's been hurt by my...
And I think one of the most attractive things is when we can take accountability for that and we can change. We can change for the better. Because I do think that inherently we all have this power to put those things aside because that's not who we truly are. Once we get to know someone and are able to open up and be vulnerable, which we do see in Mr. Darcy and with Lizzie, I think that's just one of the things that make a romance one of the best romance stories ever. So modern comparison, we live in a generation where accountability feels optional. Yeah, it does. People defend flaws as personality traits. But Darcy, he hears criticism from the woman he loves and transforms his behavior privately. He hears criticism from the woman he loves. He goes away and transforms his behavior privately. He does it without wanting her to know. He wants to make amends, but he doesn't want to make a huge show of it. He's doing it to improve his character. He works on himself. He's almost gone on some freaking, I don't know, Tony Robbins. No, I'm kidding. It would be like the equivalent today of working on yourself, doing some personal development course or reading some books privately and really looking at himself in the mirror. And then before he actually presents himself again to Lizzie. I'm sorry, but that's rare, but it's so attractive. And as much as people don't want to admit it, that is one of the best things, best traits in people. Darcy protects, but he doesn't control. One of Darcy's biggest hero moments is helping Lydia and Wickham behind the scenes. He steps in, he fixes the mess, but he expects nothing in return. He doesn't make a huge show of it. Translation for today, he's the opposite of a look how much I do for you kind of guy. He doesn't parade himself in front of Lizzie and go, all right, you thought I'm this crazy, nasty man. Here's the amazing thing I've done for your sister. He doesn't want her to know. Controversial take. A lot of modern men confuse protection with possession. Darcy shows the difference. He acts out of responsibility, not ego. Service, not showmanship. He protects without telling anyone, especially Lizzie. It's competence without the Instagram post. Selflessness without the press release. Darcy has standards without being a snob. Darcy refuses to lower his standards in relationships, friendships, or values. And that is true. I think that, yes, okay, his first proposal to Lizzie isn't great. It's, hey, you're beneath me, but I love you most passionately. My friends, my family, no one approves of you, or might not ever approve of you, but I think you should marry me. Yeah, no. What he doesn't seem to realize, I think, at the time in that first proposal, is that he's not looking for perfection. He's looking for depth. And then, yeah, Lizzie challenges him. She questions him. She pushes him. And I think he loves that. He loves that without at first knowing it. He's totally blind to it. It's almost like it's why he says in his initial proposal, I don't know why I love you so much, but you have to put me out of my misery because I love you and I want to marry you. Oh my God, it's so hot. Anyway, a modern comparison. A lot of men today want a partner who agrees with everything. Darcy wants a partner who sparks something in him, who challenges him, who makes him a better person. Someone who isn't afraid to tell him when he's wrong or when he's being a dick. And he doesn't crumble when she disagrees. He grows. He loves it, especially in the films and TV series. You see him smiling. You see his eyes light up. Many cases when he's standing in a ballroom, he can't stop staring at her because, and it's almost, I don't know, why, but I just can't stop staring at you. Darcy has money, but it doesn't own him. Yes, Darcy is rich. But unlike the flashy archetype of the modern high-value man, Darcy doesn't lead with it. He has status, but he doesn't weaponize it. He has power, but he doesn't flaunt it. He has wealth, but he's not trying to buy love, especially not Lizzie's. And he knows, I can't buy Lizzie. The controversial truth. Darcy has proved that wealth is only attractive when it's paired with humility. Modern men sometimes chase status to compensate, but Darcy's status is silent. And this is one of my favorite points. Darcy loves deeply, not loudly. Darcy is the king of the quiet grand gesture. One of my favorite scenes from Pride and Prejudice 2005 with Keira Knightley and Matthew McFadden is the end scene, or one of the end scenes, is when he's walking on the field and he comes through the mist looking for Lizzie because he knows he's going to find Lizzie out there. He's going to come across Lizzie. She's always walking. And he just appears and he gives this grand old speech. And again, he proposes to her, saying to her, you've bewitched me, mind and soul. I melt every time I watch that scene because it's this deep connection between two people, especially his vulnerability on a plate, letting her know that, look, if you feel the same way, this is how I feel. And I want you to marry me. And there aren't any drones flying around. There isn't a videographer hiding in the bushes filming the proposal. It's just a deep connection between two people. And that's one of the best and most amazing things about this book and this story. There's no love bombing. There's no 3-day texting. There's no weird games. He loves sincerely. He notices Lizzie's mind and not her aesthetics. He respects her independence. Again, if you consider when this book was written and when it was published, women weren't known to be independent. And he doesn't chase. He approaches with clarity. He gives her the space. He says to her, look, if you do not feel the same way, you'll silence me forever. What a gentleman. He doesn't chase her. He's not obsessed. She's not a possession. Darcy really is a perfect guy. Modern comparison. Dating today is full of noise. Now look, I'm not dating. I'm in a very long-term relationship and I have a lot of experience of dating. Just from what I know from friends and just modern day society. There's so much mixed signals and casual relationships. And I really do think we've forgotten romance and what that can do for us and what that really means. To conclude, Darcy still wins. This fictional character that has survived for 200 years or whatever it's been, he still wins. Who is Mr. Darcy compared to men today? He is the man who thinks before he speaks. Guys, take note. Listens to criticism without melting. Protects without controlling. Loves without performing. And improves without being asked twice. He's not perfect. No. But he's very intentional. He knows what he wants, and he's intentional. And maybe that's why 200 years later, Darcy still feels like a fantasy, which is sad. Not because he's unrealistic, but because some of his qualities have become undervalued. If more men today aimed for Darcy's self-awareness instead of perfection, we wouldn't call him a fictional standard. We'd call him normal. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments. And again, I'm not an experienced dater. I'm not out in the dating world, so I don't really know what's out there. But I'm really just going by what I see in modern day society, what I see on social media, what I hear from friends and family. And to me, I really want to bring back and let men know especially that it is okay to be vulnerable. It is okay to open yourself up and to not always feel the need to overperform and overshare. Thanks for watching. If you want more literary breakdowns, and if you are interested in something like this, next we can move on to Lizzie Bennet and talk more about her.